New York and on the new Hot 97 app. Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ebro in the morning, Hot 97. Laura Stiles, myself, and wow, the legendary street artist Shepard Fairey is in the building. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
And my good friend from high school and the man who curated Beyond the Streets, which Laura, you can tell us all about, which is going on in Brooklyn right now. Roger Gastman's here. What's up, Roy?
Hey.
How are you?
Hey. First of all, Beyond the Streets was amazing. Like, I didn't know what to expect, and for anybody who's just like just a sheer fan, I was able to go to like the media preview, and it was just beautifully done. You guys did an exceptional job.
Thank you. Come back. We're there till the end of August.
Yeah, you guys have a lot of programming going on, right?
All kinds of programming.
So tell us about this programming, Roger.
Tell us about this programming. Well, Shepard's going to be there this Friday showing his documentary and talking about it.
Yes, talk about that, the Obey Giant documentary.
Yeah, so it's a career of actually my life story, I guess. It came out about 18 months ago, but not in theaters. It's on Hulu. So if you're a Hulu subscriber, you can check it out. Otherwise, you should come to Beyond the Streets in Brooklyn on Friday because there's a free screening of it. And the better thing is you're going to get to see this amazing collection of art. It's how many artists, Roger? 120 or something?
Almost 150.
Yeah, and it started off in L.A. and the show there was great. But even though I'm an L.A. resident, not native, but I'm I think New York's show is better. And New York is it's arguably the still the epicenter of street art culture, and it's the genesis of it. Cornbread was from Philly, but hey, most people see train writing and graffiti as a New York thing, and it's both an overview of the history and what people are doing, bringing the whole culture into the future. So it's still a living, progressing genre, and Roger did a really killer job with all the curation.
I think one of my favorite parts was walking around and seeing like legends like Lady Pink walking around or like Spike Lee like geeking out at a lot of the pieces that were up. Like it was special. I ran into LL Cool J and he was like, "Yo, this is
Yeah,
tight."
Roger, who are some of the people who've come by besides the ones Laura just mentioned to check out the show?
Celebrities, art fans, everyone. Should I be name dropping?
Yes, that's what I'm asking you. It'd be one thing if you brought it up yourself, but I'm blatantly asking you.
Of course.
Yes.
Chris Rock showed up.
That's dope.
Shepard's there today. Literally every day there's a new surprise with an artist, a celebrity, somebody that makes somebody excited. And they're usually just buying tickets and showing up, and I don't even know they're coming.
That's amazing.
We had an event last night with Agnes B. Susan Sarandon was there for that.
So tight.
I'm always with Susan Sarandon.
Rosie Perez.
Yep.
Yeah. That's so fire.
When are you coming?
I'm going to come, Friday or Monday, over the next week. And then I'm off of work for my birthday at the end of next week. So
There's definitely something for everybody there.
No, it sounds fire.
A friend of mine is like a crazy Beastie Boys fan, and he was geeking at all like the memorabilia that they were able to like get, like craziness. Like,
are you
craziness.
promoting anything related to the Beastie Boys or no?
We have an entire Beastie Boys section.
So lit.
And I've heard rumors that the Beastie Boys could be involved in showing up to this place at some point.
It could happen, absolutely.
Could happen, okay.
It could happen. I can't give away too many details.
No, don't.
And Shepard has his 30th anniversary show going in there, too.
Yeah. Roger was generous to give me a good amount of real estate. It's hard to come by in Williamsburg these days.
Yeah.
And I have I've got probably close to 100 pieces in there. Yeah, and
probably more.
Yeah, some big paintings and memorabilia, like old street signs I painted on and things like that. So it's it's from the humble beginnings up to my just very, very slightly less humble current
Now, do
situation.
these all belong to you? Because I know sometimes people, things get sold and then it's like, I don't even know if they belong to you anymore.
There are a few things in there that are not for sale. They're part of my collection, but most of it is work that I created for that show specifically. And in fact, like that's the cool thing about the show is that most of the work is new work from people, other than a certain amount to give historical context. But Roger was really, I think it was critical to you that people show what they're doing now with a relation to their history, but that they're still progressing.
It's the most important part of the show.
Yeah. So how old were you, Shepard, when you first started messing around with street art? What was the first thing you did?
I was 19, and I came to New York in '88 and saw the graffiti. I was going to the Rhode Island School of Design in Providence, and driving in, the graffiti along the Cross Bronx Expressway was really amazing. And then it got more and more dense as you got into the city. And I was supposed to be going to the Metropolitan Museum with a group of students, but I said, nah, I'm going to walk around and just look at graffiti all day. That's the art I'm excited by. And I'd been skateboarding and listening to punk rock and listening to Beastie Boys, Public Enemy, and it made sense to me to take the things that I knew, stencil making and stickering, and apply the same mentality, the same bombing approach as graffiti writers. But I didn't grow up drawing in a black book, and I thought, I have a long way to catch up in that world, but I have a thing that I can do. And so, yeah, that's how it started. And yeah, I just spent lots of nights walking around with a messenger bag and a
So what were the first
can of
things
paint.
you were throwing up? Were you just doing little tags? Were you right away trying to jump into like more artistic stuff? Like,
No, I don't know if I've made it there yet, but no, the first thing was that silly sticker of Andre the Giant. The Andre the Giant has a posse sticker, which then evolved into the Obey campaign. It got to be a little bit more serious, more.
you think?
Yeah.
It kind of caught on.
Yeah. I mean, and the Obey was, even though
People make movies about it. It's a whole thing. Yeah.
it's an abstracted image of Andre the Giant that's become its own icon. That's sort of saying like, who controls public space? Do you want it to be you, the average person, or the major corporation? And so it's a little bit provocative, antagonistic, and question everything.
So then we got to go to that since you brought it up, and it was literally the first thing you did. I didn't realize it came along to you that early. Why was Andre, and by the way, I'm like, so a big part of my life is wrestling as well, right? So, and I know a lot about Andre the Giant.
And he took me to watch the documentary.
The Andre doc,
and I cried, by the way.
Yeah, so
That's amazing doc.
Yeah, why were you? First of all, were you a wrestling fan, and were you an Andre the Giant fan, or was he just someone you found interesting and thought would be a cool image?
So I was a wrestling fan when I was a kid, but then I was crushed when I found out it was,
predetermined.
And it was like finding out there's no Santa Claus, no Easter Bunny. So then I was mad at wrestling for a while. But when I was teaching a friend how to make a stencil, I looked through the newspaper and saw a picture of Andre the Giant, and I always thought Andre the Giant was phenomenal. Unique looking, unique story, and then there was the hip hop group Showbiz and AG. Showbiz and Andre the Giant.
Okay, I did not know that was
and I was
possibly in
like,
your mind.
that's a cool reference because I was super into NWA, Ice-T, Eric B. and Rakim, Public Enemy, Boogie Down Productions, and I decided that hip hop was the new punk rock, and so any sort of subtle reference to hip hop I was down with. So I was trying to teach my friend how to cut a stencil of Andre the Giant, and he got frustrated, so I just finished it up. It said Andre the Giant has a posse, which we were calling our skate crew our posse, and it was because all the that's what everybody in hip hop called their crew, was their posse in the late '80s, and so. Yeah, it was that. That was it. It was just very spontaneous. Made some stickers, gave them to friends, and then people started coming up to me like, "Hey, man, I heard you're the guy that's got those stickers. Like, can I get a few?" I was like, "This is so bizarre," and it became kind of a secret handshake. And then I changed the mayoral candidate Buddy Cianci's billboard around just as a prank, and that went nuts on the news and in the newspapers. And what I realized was doing something on that scale gave people a lot more interest in the 3x3 stickers, and so, and then I started to understand how media works, and the genie was out of the bottle.
Sorry, Laura, go ahead.
Did Andre's estate or family ever reach out to you?
They did eventually, but by then I'd already really transitioned away from the more recognizable Andre into Obey with the icon face, and they just said, "Hey, Andre the Giant's a trademark name. You can't use it in your work." My website at that time in '97 was called AndreTheGiant.com, and then I just changed it to ObeyGiant.com. And I haven't had any issues with them. I was corresponding with Andre's daughter for a while, and she seemed pretty cool, but I offered to give her one of every single art print I ever made, and she said, "Nah, it's cool. My mom doesn't like those stickers. She wouldn't want to see them around the house."
Oh, wow.
So you're like, "Oh, okay. Well, I guess we'll pass then." Yeah, I'm surprised. And WWE never reached out.
No.
So at this point, being that it's the Obey Giant, everyone knows it's based on Andre the Giant, but it's not called Andre the Giant. So
Right.
you're basically good to go.
Yeah. It's transformative enough to not be a copyright issue. I mean, if you look at the iconography I use, it's like it's so abstract compared to a recognizable image of Andre.
It's so true. And then yet, I guess because it's built in our brain, like a kid now who sees the image, which people do, I'm sure they don't have an association like that the way we do who grew up on Andre the Giant.
Yeah, well, what I hope is that it's kind of a two-way exchange, a cross-pollination where older people, they recognize Andre, but then younger people get turned on to him. Yeah. And, because I think his story is pretty compelling. And even though what I'm doing is, it's not really about him per se at this point, it's still a really cool parallel journey, I guess.
And I just love that you mentioned Andre the Giant, AG from Showbiz and AG, who it would be pretty cool for people to go check out his work as well. So the other thing that the mainstream world would know you well for is the Obama Hope 2008 poster.
Yep.
Did that start out as something you just did on your own, or were you commissioned to do that from the beginning?
No, I just did it because I thought I've been making a lot of work protesting the Iraq War and protesting George Bush. This guy seems like he's got the right policies that are the opposite of that. So the way I make images against things I don't like, maybe I should start making some things that support things that seem good. So, when you come from a rebel background, it's really weird to think, wow, there's something I could actually support that I'm not going to be cynical about and say, everything mainstream is whack, bro. So it was kind of a risk for me, but I did it on my own. But I did have somebody in the campaign that I could ask, hey, I've done a lot of controversial things. Is this going to be an unwanted endorsement? And they said, nah, he saw your stuff for, last election cycle against Bush. He's cool with it. Go ahead, make it. And then it caught on so quickly that they never officially adopted it, but they would have a lot of the Democratic Party headquarters in different states email, and I made 300,000 posters and 500,000 stickers that were just given away.
Wow.
I think one thing too that I truly appreciated for the first Women's March here in New York City, I loved that you unlocked like a series of posters, and that everyone here at Hot 97 who was a part of it, we printed one of your posters out and marched with it. And when we were there, it was like a sea of people with all your prints.
That was phenomenal. I mean, in 2008, things going viral on the internet was already happening, but in early 2017, it was at a different scale. Like overnight, those We the People posters took off, and I was just dismayed by Trump being elected, and really happy to be able to put some images out that said that if you're not white and male, it's okay. You're still equally American. If you're not the same religion as everyone else, you're still equally American. And so I'm glad you guys dug it.
Roger, so people who don't know about Roger, your street art has been your entire life. Graffiti has been your entire life since I knew you at 15 years old.
Still the same.
And you have not changed at all. Yeah, you and I are among the people I know who basically have the exact same interests as when we first met 25 years ago, whatever that was. But can you tell us, being that you are an expert on all things graffiti, street art culture, what makes Shepard such an important player in that world?
Shepard has never stopped. Graffiti and street art are two different worlds that often would battle with each other, but Shepard has proved he will climb higher, do more, go crazier, and make more impactful messages, and continue to spread his message for now 30 years, and it's never slowed down. That's a longer career than most people. 99% of all graffiti are street artists, and also that message resonates with so many people for reasons you just mentioned.
How long have you guys known each other?
We met in 98, so 21 years. But he used to order stuff from me. I had no idea. To me, it was just like, okay, lunch money came in the mail. He used to order T-shirts from me back when he was in middle school. So, yeah, I mean, what year did you discover my work?
I probably
Early
discovered
90s?
your work in 92 or 93.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Is that when it really started? When did Obey become a thing? 92?
Well, I started making T-shirts, like homemade T-shirts for friends right out of the gate in 89. But 92 was when I had my own screen printing company in a little warehouse space, and I was making a Xeroxed catalog, and somehow Roger was getting a hold of that. I mean, this was a small operation, to say the least. But I was fronting like I had it going on. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to the trade show, man. I'm getting a 3x3 foot booth, and living large. But it was So, but I did it all myself, and was broke for a long time. But in 2000, I started working with the guys that I work with on my clothing line now, who. I'm the creative director of the brand, but I don't have to, pick up the phone and call the stores and pull a squeegee every day to print shirts. I have partners, and it's an amazing thing because the clothing business is rough, and a lot of people want to jump on trends and then burn it out quick. My partners really respect my vision, so we've had it going now for 19 years on a larger scale, and I think it's got integrity. To some people, having a clothing line at all is a whack sellout move, but everybody's got it.
That was part of what your brand was. It feels like from the from the beginning.
To me, it's just another canvas for my work, and reaching people in places other than galleries and museums was always my concern, which is why I love the streets so much. And also, I just love mischief and the adrenaline rush of it. But then doing things on inexpensive posters or T-shirts, hats. That was all part of my program. I mean, Keith Haring was the same way. He's one of my role models.
Who else is around from your generation of people in street art? Is there anyone that you're still close with that you've known for a long time since your early days? Any other names that we might know who you've always been cool with?
Well, yeah. I mean, Futura's in the show. And Futura precedes me. He started doing graffiti in the 70s. Lee Quinones is in the show, star of Wild Style. There are a lot of really great people. The Fail Collective, they started in the late 90s, but I've known them since right when they started. There's a lot of fantastic artists in the show, and some of them are newer and yet doing things at such a high level that I'm always excited when the OGs I get to hang with them because it's people that inspired me, but I'm also inspired to get to see stuff from some of these new people and talk to them because they had a generation or two of people showing technique that they could build upon, and it's like music, it's like skateboarding, it's like anything where it's cool to see how people took the history and then have innovated in their own way.
Roger, what's the address for Beyond the Streets again?
25 Kent Ave in Williamsburg.
Roger, when are you going to do? Is there any place that one can find out the full Roger Gastman story? Because your story is pretty bizarre and interesting as well.
We're working on the book. My website has a little bit of it, but no, we don't really have that out there at this time. It's not authorized.
Do people know that you have a full Bethesda tattoo on your chest?
Some people know I have a full Bethesda tattoo.
Shepard, did you already know this?
Where's yours?
You know what? As much as I loved growing up in Bethesda, I did not do the full tattoo. I remember when you did it. I mean, among a series of psychotic things you did when we were teenagers, that was a moment.
How do you think I got in this show? I had to caress it a bit.
That was, by the way, that wouldn't surprise me. These are the kind of things Roger would do. Were you aware of Roger's magazine while you were sleeping?
That's how we met.
That was
I was in issue 2?
4.
4. Okay. Yeah, I was giving myself way too much credit.
Yeah, chill out.
Like 6 months earlier.
Yeah.
So
and I did a bunch of stuff with Roger and while you were sleeping, and his interviews were really funny. And
Peter did some of them.
Yeah, I did some. Mine weren't as funny as yours though, but I did interviews.
And then we did Swindle magazine together.
Right, of course,
for 4 years. And Roger deserves a lot of credit for being somebody who is curating what was kind of underground or marginal culture in a way that, I think helps to launch things more into the mainstream or to a wider audience and give them credibility and that they're not lost in the historical shuffle. It's really important work that he does.
Well, I think so too. And Roger, I don't know if I've said this to you personally, but I've said it to Laura. We've talked about the magazine before. I feel that While You Were Sleeping was a forefather to so many magazines that did sort of a cheaper, less culturally important version. They kind of took some of the pieces that you had, which was sort of like street culture, hip hop, graffiti, girls, all these different things in the magazine, and they mostly just pulled out the girls part and like a little bit of edge to it. And I think you ended up getting what were a lot of the magazines that came afterwards. Do you feel that While You Were Sleeping potentially was influential and maybe didn't get the credit that it deserves?
It was definitely influential. As I get older, or as we get older, more and more people talk to me about it, or they realize I'm the person that did it, and they say something to me half the time in private, almost like it was a dirty little secret for them.
What was the widest the circulation got on While You Were Sleeping?
I think we were doing 75,000 for a while.
It's pretty
Tower
great.
Records, Borders, Barnes & Noble, Virgin, all those places that don't exist anymore.
Yeah. Considering you did it out of your mom's house, you know, with like everyone, all your friends basically packaging it up and sending it out to people who are subscribers, and that the whole magazine existed off of money you were making off of selling caps. Are you legally allowed to talk about that now?
Yeah, we can talk about that.
So how big was your caps business in high school when you were selling caps for spray paint, for people who don't understand? Not that I understand it, I just know that's what you sold.
There's caps that go on cans of spray paint. The ones that come on the cans pretty much suck and don't do much.
Right.
So you get thin caps that spray really soft and slowly. You can do more art stuff with.
Right.
And then you got ones that spray really fat that you can go quicker and do more vandalism with. And you would have to go get them by stealing them off of oven cleaner and things like that in the art stores or grocery stores. So we found out where you get them from the plastics company, and we started ordering them, and I started a distribution business around the country, which spread around the world. By the time I'd graduated high school, we were selling millions of caps a year.
How old were you when you first started selling them?
I was 16 or 17 when I started selling caps.
And how were you making, like, how legit was the money you were making from?
It was fairly legit.
Fairly legit.
It was fairly
It funded
legit.
the magazine, right?
It funded the magazine. It funded most of my lifestyle, funded a bunch of my friends, paid for us to go on a lot of stupid trips and do a lot of ignorant things that were in the magazine that you know about.
Yes, I do. I know them well. If you ever, for some reason, can anyone, where would anyone even find a copy of While You
We
Were
made
Sleeping?
a book.
Oh, that's right. You have the book.
The worst of While You Were Sleeping. It's,
Right.
on, it's on Amazon.
So go check out the book.
Are you in that?
I don't know. Am I in the book?
You're probably in the book.
Probably. That doesn't
Yes,
sound
you're in
good.
the book.
Dude, I have multiple interviews. I did all the music reviews for like the first year.
You're on the cover of the book.
Once it got bigger, by the way,
They're
I
like,
was
wow.
weeded out. And I was like 19, and like more semi-legitimate people came in. Although you had a lot of people worse than me, let's be honest.
Way worse.
And from a creative standpoint, some of the people from our high school that you allowed to write in that magazine, I don't even know if I can show off that I was part of the magazine anymore.
Probably not.
We'll talk about it off the air. But there's some people I'm like, how did they get here? But there's really the amount of random people who then blew up to her in there it's really entertaining.
It was your media debut, I think.
Yeah, but probably no.
Wow.
I think I'd already started on college radio. So I had my 10-watt radio show, okay, going at the same time. And my music reviews.
yeah.
But by the way, really cool moment. I interviewed Pete Rock when Soul Survivor came out for that.
Oh, that's so tight.
So that was my first interview with Pete Rock, and I did it at Loud Records and saw Prodigy there, and was like, my head almost exploded that I saw Prodigy in real life at 19 years old. Anyways, go check out Beyond the Streets.
You have to. It's so good.
Check out the Obey Giant doc, which you can see on Hulu, or you can go to the screening on Friday.
Is the screening open to the public?
Check out Shepard's Instagram.
Okay.
It's on the Beyond the Streets Instagram later today with information.
Yeah, it's at Obey Giant is my Instagram.
Yeah, so go check out everything Shepard Fairey and Roger Gastman, and check out Beyond the Streets. Thank you guys for
Thanks,
coming
guys.
and talking. It was really cool.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.